Housing market update. So we finished March of 2021 with the lowest inventory of housing on record. The inventory was down by 20%. There are not many houses on the market, just under or right at 1 million houses on the market all across the country. So everybody who's predicting this huge market crash because of all the forbearance and people that may get foreclosed on, that lost jobs through the pandemic, and all of these houses suddenly hitting the market. The situation is, and the truth is, if we put another 1 million houses on the market right now, they would get absorbed. We have very little inventory, only a couple of weeks worth of inventory on the market. If you all of a sudden flooded it with what some of the people out there that are projecting and talking about housing crash and things like that, they're talking about all these potential foreclosures that could hit the market, or properties in forbearance that could hit the market, which not all those properties that are in forbearance are actually at risk. They're strategic. It's people trying to trying to save some money and doing a strategic forbearance. That's not default. Forbearance and default are two different things. So even if we did put all 1 million houses or 2 million houses, whatever it is that's in the process of potentially forbearance, behind on mortgage, things like that, and you put those on the market, it would take 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months for that to happen. All of them would get sold. So that is not what's going to bring the housing market down. What's going to bring the housing market down potentially is interest rates. And it's always been all about the interest rates. That's what tanked the housing market in 08-09. Sure, it was the subprime lending that was the root cause of the actual crash, but the catalyst were interest rates. Interest rates is what triggered it. The bomb was subprime lending, not just lower income subprime lending, but investor subprime lending, where people were getting no income, no verification, no doc loans, borrowing 105, 110% of the value and not putting any money down. All you had to have was a good credit score, no income verification, no documentation, those types of loans. The difference now is the borrowers have to be qualified. The loan rates have been record low, cheap interest rates, but you still have to qualify. You still have to have a down payment. You're not getting into houses at the above appraised value. You're getting in at appraised value or acquisition, whichever's lower. But appraisals are not always keeping pace with all of the multiple offers that are coming in. So the buyers are having to come in with contingencies or removing the contingency on the appraisal. So if it appraises for less than what they have offered, because they're having to escalate the offer price because of competition, they have to make that difference up in cash, and buyers are more than happy and willing to do that because there are no houses on the market. So what can bring the housing market down? What can cause a crash? Interest rates and liquidity. If you can't borrow the money, if lending becomes more stringent, more difficult, and not readily available, then you'll see a big change in values and demand for housing. As long as rates remain low, as long as interest rates remain low and the funding is available, housing values and the housing market will remain strong. As soon as that changes, and rates have been on the rise, so keep your eyes on that, that's what's going to really affect the housing market. It's not an inventory issue. You can throw another 1 million homes on the market, that will not solve the problem. It's all about low interest rates and demand way outpacing the supply.